for your mercies, for your grace, for allowing us to have the opportunity to be able to look and see in our world that your righteousness, your justice, and your holy standard, it will be met. And it has to do with us fulfilling your work in the land. I'm asking you by your might and your power to help me be clear, to help me be effectual for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of your Son, the Christ, in the land. Please, please help me to be understood clearly and effectively for the praise of your glory, not to make anybody happy, not to make anybody sad, unless those are the things that are needed to effect your cause. Amen. Amen and amen. Well, we're getting ready to embark upon a new series. Those that have paid attention know that I really wanted to go and look at the book of Nahum, but in this series, by the help of the Lord, if I can tell that this series has been a benefit, and it is something that it's not just that I feel in my spirit needs to be done, need to be covered, but that it is from him. He'll have his way of letting me know. And the new series that I want to embark upon is, what is the law of Christianity given by the unrighteous legal slave master to the enslaved legal slave? What is the law of Christianity given by the unrighteous, ungodly, legal slave master to the enslaved legal slave? Break that down, Tim. I don't know what you mean. Why did you say is instead of was? Laws that are set up, unless they're totally abolished, can be used either to indict or vindicate. Use English, use words that people use. Can be used to lock a person up, take their freedom, property, children, assets. Those laws that have been written, although they may have been written a long time ago, unless they're abolished, those laws can be used. Laws that have been written that you don't read about or that we don't hear about can be used to free somebody that's guilty, to enslave somebody in the prison industrial complex, to attack and do wars in places. Because whatever comes from the people that make your legal system becomes not only the law of the land, it is God-like in its attribution and its enforcement. Lives can be taken, property can be taken, blood can be extracted from the person's body, DNA can be taken, etc. There was a law given of conformity to the English law of America that was intertwined with Christianity, and it was given to the slaves by the slave master. And thus, I did a little thing on the book of, we were going through the book of Micah, and I was showing people how that thing worked. And I found that thousands of people determined that this was something that they wanted to know about. So since I saw that, I said to myself, Tim, what you need to do is allow people not only to see the rest of the story, because it seems to be very important. So as we go through this series, one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're not just going to be looking at it in one sense. We're going to be discussing it. We're going to deal through it. We're going to deal with it as a group. So I'm just kind of getting us set up for that. What I'm doing now is that I'm opening up and I'm getting ready to share a page with you so you all can see what I'm doing. I move my, whatever you call it, to the top. So it takes me a minute sometimes to see what I'm doing. Share, and I'm going to go here so you can see the book. Tell me if you can see my screen, please. It is sharing. Okay. This book, it's called The Unholy Slaves Bible. Okay. It's written by David Charles Mills. I'm going to open this book because I had to move some things. I had to move some things around. I want you to see what we will be covering. Let's go down to the bottom part first. Let's get the bottom part covered so that we can see the things that are very important. And then I'm going to show you why this is so important to us. All right. In this book, and the reason why, when I was telling you about Nahum, that we will be dealing with the book of Nahum, let me make this smaller and I can move it. You should be able to see it. All right. I want you to see that the omitted books of this Bible that was given in 1908, the King James Version, 1908, presented to the slaves, and 12 years later, they had read Summer. Where a lot of the lands of Black people not only were taken, confiscated, killed, they flooded some out, they drove them out of their own cities, their own towns. They did this. But the 1908 Slave Bible was given. Please don't think that slavery in the United States was over in 1865. It was not. It was not even over when the Emancipation Proclamation was given, because Lincoln did not have complete control over the South. They had what they call seceded from the Union. That's why they had to come back together to be a union. And he did not free the slaves that were up north. But what they did is use a war strategy to use us to go along and go against the Confederates, and to have us feel that the Northerners is going to help us, and it caused unrest. So when we look at this, I'm going to see if I can zoom it down just a little, make it a little clearer. I'm working with you all. I'm trying to get better. Can you see this? The omitted books. Or do I need to pull my camera down a little smaller? Say something to me, Andrina. Okay. I'm moving it because I want people to be able to see. So if my flow is not like I want it to be, I'm cool with that. I'll move this, and probably people looking at my face will see part of my camera. I really don't care right now. What I'm trying to do is to get it where people can see what I want them to see. Can you see it? At the omitted books. Okay, so is that better now? Okay. I don't want you to see the entire page. I want you to see the bottom. The omitted books. In this series, we need to find out, why was the book of Leviticus omitted? Now, you can read that and say, okay, I know why it's omitted. But if you don't know any of the laws, if you don't know any of the practices, if you don't understand the hegemony or the authoritative approach that was used to force the idea of racism, the social construct that was used by the people that had all authority and power to frame the relationship between the groups of people, the slave and the enslaved. If you don't understand that, they took that idea of framing your social norms your thought processes, the things that you would learn, who was great, who was not great, what was supposed to be your lot in life. You'll never understand that by that construct, it was always made that the Black people that were enslaved would be subservient to the white people that were in charge as their benefit. Every bit of labor, work, land that was done, land that was cultivated, houses that would build would be for their benefit. 100% and 0% would be for the Black people. Somebody say they did eat, animals ate too. We were like animals that could talk, that could understand perfectly, that could be beaten, destroyed at any time. When you see the world from that vantage point, from a group of people that have determined we want to see you when you're sleeping and know when you're awake and determine if your actions are bad or good, and at our whim, we could beat you and tell you to be good for goodness sake. As Dr. Charles Hope Franklin, in this book that I have right here, From Slavery to Freedom, talks about. This is the 8th edition. We're not going into it today. I just wanted to have it there because there was something in here that made me want to talk about it the other day. So I want you to understand Leviticus. One of the things I will point out when we go through the book of Leviticus is Leviticus will teach that restitution must be always given when something is stolen from someone, whether it's a life, whether it's property, whether it's money. And that's the very reason Zacchaeus told the master, if I've stolen anything from anybody, I'll give it back fourfold. And you'll find that was even more than what was required. Then you have the book of Numbers. When you look in the book of Numbers, what you're going to be able to find out is not only that the Most High has an order that's set for his people, who his people happen to be, and how he is willing for those that will not adhere to his word to be put to death and allow their children to benefit from what he has. You see, because you'll hear people throughout the world say, you know, once you're saved, you're always saved, no matter what. And you'll find out that the covenant that Yah gives is for his people, whether the individual that happens to be there benefits from it, or will it be his offspring. You'll read about those kind of things when you go to Romans chapter 9, which is omitted from the slave's Bible, because remember, the framework given by those in authority is to control how you think. If I want to know how you think, if I want to be like God and I know your thoughts are far off, and if I don't have that power, I will tell you what your thoughts will be. I will tell you what breaking news is. I will tell you what's important. I can make trend what I want to trend throughout your neighborhood. Okay? The book of Joshua, a book where the Most High God shows that his people have the ability and have the right not only to be enslaved, but to conquer, but to follow his will when he gives it. And you'll see in the book of Joshua that the Most High God has shown that his people often fight wars. Now, the beautiful thing I'm talking about from the vantage point, not of beautiful because it's righteous, But I'm talking about from the way the things were done. Okay, did I just stop sharing? I didn't know that that's what that would do. Let me go back to it. It was sticking in front of my face, and I really didn't need to see the taskbar while I was doing what I was doing. Now let me go back to screen sharing. That's my bad, you all. Please forgive Tim. New share. But Andrina will probably help me on these kind of things in the future, get it like I want it to be. All right. I'm looking for the book that I had open. This is very kind of irritating. It looks like what I did was I closed it too. It's coming back up, you all. What I did was I closed something that I didn't want to close. Am I sharing again? Am I sharing the same screen? I'm not sharing my book. That's okay.
You were sharing the book before.
Yeah, I closed. I had a toolbar that was covering something, and now it's moved. Andrina know what it is. We couldn't figure out how to make it stop happening when it was happening. But I'm good now. I can make this bigger now. Give me just a second. I'm so glad we're going through a class, talking about a class. It doesn't bother me as much. We're going to see the book of Ruth. You skipped the book of Judges. We're going to show in the book of Judges how that when his people 7 times have been conquered, mistreated, that Yah God raised up somebody to do a rebellion. Not only to do a rebellion, but the means in which they did it to obtain freedom from the oppressors. That's the book of Judges. That was definitely omitted from the slave Bible. As a matter of fact, while we're talking today, those of you that are with me, you all can go ahead and speak up, because this is, I'll tell you when I only have a short little message, but I want to at least bring you why I'm doing this series. I'm at the place where out of everything that I've looked at, as long as I've been reading the Bible, I haven't read a whole lot about why these books were left off. I mean, we can overarchingly know, but to leave those books out, somebody called that information. Somebody looked at that information. We can't let them know this. We can't let them know this. We can't let them know this. And just the books that I've mentioned heretofore, most churches don't want their people to know it, do not want them to teach it, do not want them to adhere to it. And when one does, they say, legalism. I'm going to show that it was legalism that kept you from these books. The book of Ruth. The book of Ruth. Some people think about the book of Ruth and they think about Boaz. Well, it's going to show a man that has ability, that was in power, how he showed compassion, much unlike what we had to deal with. It's going to still show that the Most High God would judge his people, but he will redeem his people. And it's going to show the power of covenant. And it's going to show the power of Yah says about covenant and his order from people way back in the past, and how it still applied to that day. And we'll see that the Messiah comes from that book, from that lady by the name of Ruth. We look at 2 Samuel. I don't know, based upon what I know about them, why they didn't delete 1 Samuel, but 2 Samuel, we're going to see that it's deleted in 2 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, the Psalms, the Song of Solomon. Jeremiah, we're going to touch just a little bit of Jeremiah today. The book of Lamentation, Ezekiel, Amos, Obadiah. Obadiah is going to stick out because I want to call it the obedient people, because I want to make up a word, but the people in Obadiah, you're going to find out that not only is that left out, you're going to see a lot of that left out what happened in the book of Genesis to bring about the book of Obadiah. You're going to meet some people called the Edomites. And when you meet the Edomites, we're going to have to discuss what the Edomites did. And we're going to see how the Edomites mixed with Rome. And we're going to see how the Edomite captured and conquered our people. And the Edomites are still living today, raising hell throughout the earth. And you're going to see a prophecy about how Edomites would be against other people. The book of Jonah. We're going to see the book of Jonah and see how the Most High God deals with wicked, tyrannical nations. They didn't want you to know that. We just covered the book of Micah. Nahum is going to show how furious Yah can get. It's going to show how he deals not only with oppressors, but how he vindicates those that have been in bad shape. They didn't want you to know about the book of Habakkuk, to see that no matter how wicked a nation can be, when Yah gets through using them to chastise his people, it's going to be something else. We got Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. I'm moving to the book of the New Testament. Don't you want to know why the book of Mark was left out? The book of Mark. I'm going to have to go back through the book of Mark myself and see what's going on in this book of Mark. Colossians, 2 Thessalonians. You would think Philemon would be left in there. Why would you think that? Because it talks about a slave being returned. Oh, but you'll find out the authority. You'll find out the sense of worth. You'll find out that not only that, Paul said, I don't want you taking him back like that. I know the culture. I don't have the power to snatch him from you in this culture. But I'm going to tell you this man is worth more than what you treat him. And you take him back as a brother. And I'm going to show you through the book of Genesis that they had determined we weren't brothers. I'm going to show you that. 2 Peter. Oh, they don't want you to know what's in 2 Peter. 2 John, 3 John, Jude. 2 books that goes back and give you some book from the Ethiopian Bible. Wait a minute. Ethiopia. Well, you know, the Bible wasn't written in Europe anyway, right? Right. Was it written in Germany? No. Was it written in France? No. Was it written in Italy? Was it written in Spanish? No. Those people got the language, or they got the scriptures, and they translated it as, like they have gotten many other artifacts that have been used to the benefit and put in museums that people can steal and take artifacts and change history. To all of a sudden, we look good. We look perfect, and you look stupid. In my book over there, The Destruction of African Civilization, you'll get to learn some of these things, but we're not going there today. And the book of the Revelation. Why was all of the book of the Revelation left out? Is it a possibility that there were people from all nations, tongues, and tribes in there? Was there something because the souls of men that had been caught up and it was in the whore was judged, and the people said, hallelujah, what is it? So in going through this series, please understand that if I don't teach this book, no, I won't be teaching this book the same way I teach others. I'm going to deal with the truth of the scriptures because the Most High is watching. But at the same time, our eyes need to be open. Now, other things that I want you to see from this book, I'm going to see if I can make it clear up just a little bit. I don't think this thing was necessary. Oh yeah, they didn't give me my classes yet. There we go. Can you still see? Oh, thank you. And thank you. I appreciate you, Andrina, for being there for me. Don't you want to know why Genesis that has 50 chapters in the 1611, I can't say 1611 with the Apocrypha because there's more. In the 1611 where they had deleted the Apocrypha, it still has much of our history in it. We're not even talking about those deleted books. We're talking about the ones that people walk around with right now, the ones that they gave to the slaves. Why in this one, out of 50 chapters, you only have these? The 1, 3, about 35 chapters missing, okay? Why? Don't you want to know what's in those? Why do they stop at 3 and not give you 4? And what is the narrative that they give you on 1, 2, and 3? But if you notice, there's a big gap between 18 and 37. What's between 18 and 37? You might find out somebody Edomite. Say what, precious love? Yes, what's between 8 and 18, my precious wife. And maybe we talk about killing a man, getting put to death. What happens? What's this table of nations about? And what's all this about tower that's going up to the sky? And this Abraham. Why are we leaving out what country he came from? Can't we look, in the words of that woman that I think she just died mysteriously? Can we talk? Deuteronomy, the one of the books the Messiah quoted the most. 34 chapters in the book of Deuteronomy. You want to see how many are going to be left out? Well, let's look at how many in it that they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you subtract 8 from 34. Why are 26 chapters missing for the slaves? The book of Exodus, why you only get 2 chapters out of 40? Help me. The book of Kings. So if you see all of these books, every single one of them, they are missing books. Clear back up. There you go. I don't want to spend the whole day telling you what's missing. I just want to give you a clue. I really do. I do want you to see Romans, though. Notice we talk about Romans a lot in our modern day because now we got ways we can say it, but why is it when they gave it to the slaves? Why is it out of 16 chapters you only get 2 chapters, 12 and 13? What was in chapter 4 that you didn't like? What was in chapter 1 that when it talk about the nations of the land and all of the lands and giving themselves over and making other gods and making themselves to be something and all of the different kind of licentious sex and lust and murder and pillaging that they were doing? Why is it in chapter 2 when you talk about the things that happen in the world and people judging and they doing the same thing? Why is it in chapter 3 when it talks about the Jew getting the oracles? I didn't say Jewish, I said the Jew. But if you take chapter 12 out, maybe you don't get a chance to see where they get the origination of that word Jew. And maybe when you look at some of the other ones it's missing, you don't get to hear where the name Jew comes from, Yehuda. And it didn't say Yudahish, it said Yehuda. And he had brethren. And if you look at the books that was taken out before you get these, when you look at the additions to the book of Esther, you may begin to understand there's a certain biological group of people that were called that, not just people that lived in the land of Judah, but they had a biological point of view. So you look in Romans, you get chapter 9, 10, 11, missing. What does 9 talk about? It talks about God loving one man by the name of Jacob. He was eventually changed to Israel. His family was a nation. It said that the nation would come out of that, but we didn't get that part in the slaves' Bible because that was left out. And then you get a chance to see that the gifts and callings upon him was without repentance. And you also, if you go back and read backwards the part that if we can conquer him, we can get out of the yoke, but it wouldn't make us righteous. And then chapter 10 says that Paul says his heart's desire and prayer is for those people that they really may be saved. They're under so much oppression. It's up under wickedness and ungodliness in their mindset. It said they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. And it says their Messiah, their Christ, is the goal or the end of the law to them that believe. And he's quoting back in Deuteronomy, the parts of Deuteronomy that was not in the slave Bible. Oh, we got so much work to do, but it's going to be so enriching. And then in chapter 11, it shows that no other nation has the roots and the branches for the nation to be calling themselves with Messiah. Any nation that say they were grafted in, this is going to be important in a minute, that was grafted in can be broken off. They don't bear nothing about the whole of the tree. That's New Testament. So I think you all will let me go through that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you something. I know sometimes you don't want me to read you something, but this is so important to our series. Is there any comment that any one of you all want to have on what I've given you thus far? Something that's just like burning inside of you that you want to tell me? I don't hear any comments, so I don't think I need this to read this to you all, so I can go ahead and move it out of my way. Thank you, Jesus. Let me put on these. Now, this is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, sir. Okay, then I'll stop sharing now. You can see my face. That better? Yeah. All right. This is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was the second person to answer this. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? Listen, I'm going to use this for us. It says, since the institution of slavery was so important to the economic development of America, it had a profound impact in shaping the social, political, legal structure of the nation. Land and slaves were chief forms of private property. Let me say this for people that don't know these things. The social, political, and legal structure of American nation was the legal construct, or the construct that I told you about, that America was an idea, and in that idea, those that had the hegemony or those that had the power, they made a social construct that would allow the people in charge with all authority to make rules that would benefit them, and the ones that didn't have authority, they would be servants to them, and the people with no authority would have no thing that they could do to have any redress, because their work, their labor was a benefit in this new social construct. This new normalcy was to be that which is called racism. It was called white supremacy. They were supreme. Don't think that I'm lying. The 1790 Immigration and Naturalization Act tells you that America was made just for our white brothers, okay? When I'm talking about brothers, because we share humanity, not because we share the love of God. Many of them don't. Those that do, I'm not talking about them. And not only that, that social construct allowed them to determine our education, etc. I mentioned that before, I'm not going to do it again. And it said land and slave were the chief forms of private property. That means that we, our ancestors, were property, not people. All right, now, it said land and slaves were the chief forms of private property. And after the land was cheaper than the slave. I just need you to understand that. Owning a slave could be collateral for a lot of land. And so much as if you had one slave that you paid for, you could get 50 free acres of land in Virginia. Head Right Act. In the South Carolina, I think it was 150 acres they would give. They would use the slaves as collateral to buy anything that they wanted to. Why didn't they use the land? The slave was worth more. It says property was wealth. This is king. Property was wealth, and the voice of wealth made the law. Listen, and the voice of wealth made the law and determined politics. Isn't that the same thing now? You don't think these people is giving free commercials, free ads on TV, breaking news, and all of these sponsored by so and so and so, and this kind of company? Don't you see me call stuff a corporatocracy? It says the voice of wealth made the law and determined politics. In the service of this system, human beings were reduced to propertyless property. Black men, the creators of wealth in the New World, were stripped of all human and civil rights. Let's pause there. When the people that made this construct and they framed the conditions and the relationship between the groups, the free and the enslaved, what happened is we said we're civilizing you by whatever we do to you, because they had the power, they did the framework of your social norms. And now, if you're going to be civilized, you're going to be exactly what we say and the way we want you to be. Anything less, we'll call you a barbarian. It says, and this, let's read it again because I don't want to just come back in with this degradation. Black men, the creators of wealth of the New World, were stripped of all human and civil rights, and the degradation was sanctioned and protected by the institutions of government. Do you all want to see that when I read it? Okay, because I had determined not to do it, and I say this so pretty. Tim, give the people some love. Thank you, Andrina, for helping me make that decision, because I say this is so juicy. All right. That's where it's from, where we go from here. And this is in the Slaves Bible, you all. This is in the first part of the Slaves Bible before he gets to the inside. I just wanted to give you one of the things that was in it. So I wanted you all to be able to have that. So we already talked about this part, but make it a little bigger. Tim, you got that much love in your heart. Bigger, not smaller. All right. Since the institution of, this is where we were, since the institution of slavery was so important to the economic development of America, it had a profound impact in shaping the social, political, and legal structure of the nation. Land and slaves were the chief forms of private property. Property was the wealth, and the voice of the wealth made the law and determined the politics. In the service of this system, notice, in the service of this system, human beings were reduced to propertyless property. Black men, the creators of wealth of the New World, were stripped of all human rights, and degradation was sanctioned, and dehumanization was sanctioned and protected by the institutions of government, all for the one purpose: to produce commodities or sell at a profit, which in turn would be privately appropriated for the ones that had the hegemony, they had the authority, not for the ones that were at the bottom. Are you smelling what's in the coffee? It don't smell good, does it? It says, it seems to be a fact of life that human beings cannot continue to do wrong without eventually reaching out for some rationalization to clothe their acts in the garments of righteousness. And so with the growth of slavery, men had to convince themselves that a system which was so economically profitable was morally justifiable. The attempt to give moral sanction to a profitable system gave birth to the doctrine of white supremacy. For those that don't know, what Dr. King said right here was picked up on by this lady here, Dr. Joy DeGruy, and it's called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. That's the name of that book. And the only reason that I brought that book up is because in her book, she talks about that same thing where you justify your wickedness and say your wickedness is okay. And she calls that cognitive dissonance. You know you're wrong, but you tell yourself you're right because it benefits you. See, before she came along and said Dr. King was saying it. Okay. Now let's go back again to this part. Let me move my little thing. It says religion in the Bible were cited and distorted to support the status quo. Did I just show you that there are books that are missing, chapters that are missing, not including the Apocrypha, okay? They were cited to do this. Let me get back to where we can go to. Where we go. You all have to, there you go. Y'all remember, I'm new to this equipment, but I'll get good at it. Religion in the Bible was cited and distorted to support the status quo. It was argued that the Negro was inferior by nature because of Noah's curse upon the children of Ham. The Apostle Paul's dictum became a watchword: servant, obey your master. In this strange way, theology became a ready ally of commerce, money. I want you to remember this name that comes up now: the great Puritan divine Cotton Mather. I've heard some good things about him, but I didn't get to hear this. It says the great Puritan divine Cotton Mather called the Bible for passages to give comfort to the plantation owners and the merchants. He went so far as to set up some rules for the society of Negroes. Let's make that big, Tim. He went so far as to set up rules for the society of Negroes, and I'm going to show them to you. Yes, I am. It says, in which, among other things, Negroes disobedient to their masters were to be rebuked and denied attendance at church meetings, and runaway slaves were to be brought back and severely punished. All of this, he reasoned, was in line with the Apostle Paul's injunctions that servants should be obedient to their masters. Let's go back right here again. This, I need you to see this because I want this man to get all the credit that is due him. The Unholy Slaves Bible. Parts of the Bible selected for the use of Negro slaves in the British West Indies by David, I don't know why that thing is doing that on the focus, Charles Mills. Now I can stop share and stop using this. That's all I wanted to show you from a book today. Thus far, am I at least giving some anticipatory expectation of my series to those that are with me? Oh, goody, goody, goody. Because like I said, I think about sometimes when I want to do something, is this just me or is it God? I believe that if it's righteous, it's always going to have God in it. But it feels like I wanted to do Nahum. And this thing just kept bothering me. So now let's go to this. Let's go to another screen share. This is where I was dealing with my notes series. What is the law of Christianity given by the unrighteous legal slave master to the enslaved legal slave? Remember I showed Dr. King was talking about rules for the society of Negroes by the divine. They call them divines, okay? If you ever read something called the Catechism, the larger or the shorter Catechism, I believe that was in 1648 or 47, right in that time, they did a whole lot of series on catechism. Catechism is where you teach about oral instruction. Somebody give information, you recite the answers, okay? And they give you the question and the answers, and then eventually you learn to say the answers when the question is asked. And I will not tell you that everything in the catechism is wrong. I'm not going to tell you that everything in the catechism is right. Got a lot of good information in it. But I didn't come to talk about what is called the larger and shorter catechism by the Reformed, because we get a chance to see how they lived when they got here. So they did that thing. The money was good. So what were the rules for the Society of Negroes by this man, Cotton Mather? Well, I got it set up here where you can see. I'm going to pop it up, do a new share, and I want you to be able to see that. It's on, what do you call this thing? Google. You should be able to see it now. I'm not going to read it from here. I just want you to see that I got it from a real place. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back to where I was because I copied it. I felt like if I copied it onto my notes, I could like it better. So let me come over here and show you what it has in it. I'm going to move this a little bit, make it bigger for you all. All right. This is it. It's in a book that you can see on from Emory University. Would you like to see the book for a second just to get a glimpse of it? So if you look it up, you know what you're looking at. Okay. All right, I got it pulled up. Now I'm gonna do a new share so that we can see it. I gotta see what it looked like so I know what I'm looking at. What I think this is it. Yep, this is it here. This is the book, Rules for the Society of Negroes, 1693 by Cotton Mather. You all can see this, am I correct? Beautiful. All right. Rules again. And it's only about 6 pages. You see where it starts out? It tell you about the original publication. It lets you know that's what it is. It's letting you know it's for the welfare of their miserable nations, that the service among us I allowed to design, and went one evening and prayed and preached on Psalms 68 and 31 with them, and gave them the following orders. I insert duly for your curiosity. This is a man named George H. Moore that did this. So here is the rules. We miserable, and that's why when I copied it, because we don't use that thing to look like an F as an S, but it does start out that we the miserable children of Adam. Unless you know how it starts, you got those little numbers right here. It's not that long. That's the end of it. So you got a chance to see it in the form that if you say, I want to go back and look at it, how it would be in the print, you see it. But now I'm going to take it back to where I've worked on it, because I wanted to be able to share that with our people in such a way, not only that, I just want you all to be able to benefit from the work that I do. All right. So rules for the Society of Negroes, because if you look for it like this, you're not going to find it. I separated stuff. So here we go. We, the miserable children of Adam and of Noah, thankfully admiring and accepting the free grace of God that offers to save us from our miseries by the Lord Jesus Christ, freely resolve with his help to become the servants of that glorious Lord. So somebody has written for them as if you probably stick your hand up and make this pledge. Are you following me? I did this in bold so that you can see when it's like, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. All right. And that we may be assisted in the service of our heavenly master. We now join together in a society wherein the rules are to be observed. No, I believe that Jesus Christ lived and died. He was born from the dead. And he was raised from the dead. And I believe he's my Lord and Savior, and we saved. No. That was not what was available in that caste system. Rules to be observed. 1, it shall be our endeavor to meet in the evening after the Sabbath. After after the Sabbath, you all, okay, and pray together by turns, one to begin and another to conclude the meeting. And between the two prayers, a psalm shall be sung and a sermon repeated. A repeated sermon? Okay. They didn't tell me if that means somebody had given it to you. I'm not going to add to it. Somewhere in some of my studies, I'll probably learn. It says, our coming to the meeting shall never be without the leave of such as have power over us. Are you hearing this? Our coming together to the meeting shall never be without the leave or the permission of such as have power over us. Now notice we already got a Bible for them, okay? And we will be careful that our meeting may begin and conclude between the hours of 7 and 9, and that we may not be unseasonably absent from the families whereunto we pertain. Unseasonably. Who do you think in that construct determined what the season was you could come and couldn't come? 3, as we will, with the help of our God, at all times avoid all wicked company. Pay attention to that. At all times avoid all wicked company, so that we will receive none into our meeting, but such as have sensibly reformed their lives from all manner of wickedness. I do want you to understand that was saying that the slave owner, no matter what he does, is already the righteous one. I do want you to understand this is for the rules for the Negro. It says, and therefore none shall be admitted without knowledge and consent of the minister of God in this place. Notice, the man in charge. Don't go tell me this was the black pastor. No, we're talking about this was written in 1693, so let's don't play. None shall be admitted without the knowledge and the consent of the minister of God in this place, unto whom we will also carry every person that seeks for admission among us. We're going to carry you to, I would say the Pope, but we're going to carry you to the master or whatever, who's ever in charge. We can't say that we want you here. You got to go, you'll see what happened, that seeks for admission among us, to be by him examined, instructed, and exhorted. Remember when I read to you all last week from Dr. Anderson's book, when he says that the people with the power, they gave you the framework of how the relationships would be between the groups and the framework of how you see things. Notice, the only admission is going to be by the one that's examined and instructed and exhorted by him. 4, we may as often obtain some wise and of the English in the neighborhood, especially officers of the church, to look upon us, and by their presence and counsel do what they think fitting for us. We're going to be your parents. They're going to be our parents. They're going to be our nanny state. They're going to tell us whether we should get paid or not. They're going to tell us if it's fitting for us to get married or not. They're going to tell us if it's wise for us if somebody do us wrong or rape our child to fight back. They're going to tell us whatever it is, if that means to hold or plant when you're sick. Notice what it says. It says the officers of the church to look upon us, and by their presence and counsel do what they think fitting for us. 5, listen to this when it gets sweet for the people in charge now. If any of our number fall into sin of drunkenness or swearing or cursing or lying or stealing or notorious disobedience or unfaithfulness unto their master, we will admonish him. We're swearing that if somebody among us does, if anyone is unfaithful to the master, if the master don't see he didn't do what he said, if the master don't see it, we gonna report him. We're gonna self-check him. And that's how this book came into being. I hope you can see this book. I'm not gonna turn the thing back on, but this is American slave revolts, and show how every time the slaves wanted to revolt, somebody hold it. In other words, we're going to put Trojan horses. We're going to be your Trojan horses. We're going to be your spies, your CIA, whatever. It says, we will admonish him of his miscarriage and forbid his coming to the meeting for at least one fortnight. And listen, and except he then come with great signs and hopes of repentance, we will utterly exclude him with blotting his name out of our list. We're gonna say he can't go to heaven. We notice the people that didn't read the book of the Revelation and didn't want that part where Moses talking about blotting his name out. We're gonna blot that person's name out. That ain't all. It gets better for them. And if any of our society daily himself with fornication, in other words, get himself put out with fornication, we will give him our admonition and so debar him from the meeting at least half a year. No, look, nor shall he return to it. Look, we debar him from the meeting for at least half a year, nor shall he return to it ever anymore without exemplary testimonies of becoming a new creature. What is the new creature? What we're making with him with this Bible, our culture, and our laws, so that they can continually make our wealth. 7, we will, as we have opportunity, set ourselves to do all the good we can do to the other Negro servants in the town. And if any of them should at unfit hours be abroad, if any of them what is unfit hours? It's after we know it's time to be in. If any of them should at unfit hours be abroad, much more, if any of them should run away from their masters, we will afford them no shelter. If anybody happen to be out stranded or anybody's out, we won't even give him shelter if he run away. But see, remember that you keep them from reading Leviticus and you keep them from reading Deuteronomy where you're supposed to hide them. It says, we will provide them no shelter, but we will do in us what lies, that they may be discovered and punished. And if any of us are found faulty in this matter, they will no longer be among us. If we help our own people, if it's my brother from the other side of town, if it's my dad that was taken away from me, if it's a woman that had been raped trying to get away, we're going to deliver them to be discovered and punished. And if any of us are found faulty in this matter, they shall no longer be with us. You would think that's enough, but they got an 8. None of our society shall be absent from our meeting without giving a reason of the absence. And if it be found that any have pretended to be to their owners, if any have pretended to their owners that they would come to the meeting when they were otherwise elsewhere employed, we will faithfully inform the owners and also do what we can to reclaim such person from all such evil courses for the future. Is somebody trying to plan something, maybe going to go do something to get away? I don't want to hear this preaching. We're going to tell it, and we're going to try to stop them from ever doing it again. We're gonna be good. That's what was determined as good. Number 9, it shall be expected Listen, this is very important. Number 9, it shall be expected from everyone in the society that he learn the catechism. And therefore, it shall be one of our usual exercises for one of us to ask the questions, and for the rest, in order to say the answers in the catechism, either the New English Catechism or the Assembly's Catechism or the Catechism in the Negro Christianized. Believe me, I've been trying to find it, okay? Thus far, when you hear Dr. King say about the religious instruction or that for the Negro, I say, what King talking about? Let's go back and look. And that was very, 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 very detrimental to us as a people. And these are things that if you start teaching our people what happened, how it happened. I hadn't found a good book yet on the making of a slave. So you had the slave trader, you had the slave buyer / owner, but I hadn't found many books on the slave maker. Let me explain the slave maker, slave breaker. The way Malcolm explained it, Malcolm X, you don't just go get a horse from the wild and ride him. You don't. You got to have somebody, he said, first to put a bit in his mouth. Say the man has to be exceptionally cruel. And what we see, I guess, on TV when they get on and they ride and they buck and whatever, and that, that's it. Say you have to break the wheel of the horse and you become the horse's master. I want you to see, because I wanted you all to see some stuff about the control. Because somebody say, Tim, I don't think we need to learn this. Well, change the channel. You like that, Adrena? Change the channel. The Bible don't want us ignorance. So I wanted to know about the slave catechism in the Episcopal Church, South Carolina, where they killed a lot of people, where Dylan Roof went and killed those Black people in church because they had raised the statue up to Denmark Vesey. I've talked about him before, the one that was going to escape, and they tried him with this same kind of teaching of the slave Bible, and they didn't like the fact that he knew some stuff that wasn't in it. So it says control of the slave was exercised through religion, whether encouraged as a type of escape from the trouble of the world or used as a form of indoctrination. The till-all slave, listen, the all-slave church gave birth to spirituals, where the apparent emphasis was on the promised land in the hereafter. The spirituals, however, may not have been so otherworldly at first blush as they sounded. They were susceptible to double meanings, and undoubtedly many slaves interpreted the language of the spirituals in a manner unsuspected to white listeners. In slave-attended churches with white pastors, a special catechism, the question and answers one I would tell you about orally, of which the following is an example, was prepared for the darker brother. This particular catechism from the Episcopal Church is mentioned by Frederick Douglass, who knew it by heart. His writings about it can be found in the Black American, a documentary series by Leslie H. Fishel and Benjamin Quarles. Here we go. Number one, who keeps snakes and all bad things from hurting you? The answer, God does. Who gave you a master and a mistress? God gave them to me. 3, who says that you must obey him? God says I must. Imagine this is your church. What book tell you these things? The Bible. What Bible did they give the slaves? Okay, number 5. How does God do all his work? He always does what is right. Notice that comes after he gave you a master and a mistress. Okay, number 6. Does God love to work? Yes, God is always at work. Do the angels work? Yes, they do what God tells them. Do they love to work? Yes, they love to please God. Number 9, what does God say about your work? That they that will not work shall not eat. What does God say about your work? We got God working, we got the angels working, we got all these happy people working, then it's your turn. It says, what does God say about your work? That they that will not work shall not eat. Did Adam and Eve have to work? Yes. They had to keep the garden. Was it hard to keep the garden? No, it was very easy. What makes crops so hard to grow now? Sin makes it. 13, what makes you lazy? Notice how they get this question for the Negroes to answer. My wicked heart. How do you know your heart is wicked? I feel it every day. 15, who teaches you so many wicked things? The devil. 16, must you let the devil teach you? I must not. What do you think? Wait, somebody tell what you think. Was that enlightening? All right, so here is the last one. Let's see. I think I put it right here. This will come from the archives. I don't want to read it like this, so I click on this and let it take it to me in the Google, and then I'll share this page with you. New share here. This is from the African American newspapers, and I want us to get to the catechism. I had it set. Bothers me when I turn to something and I don't see it. Ain't gonna stay here forever if I don't see it. This one had 52 of the things that they were saying. I don't see it. I'm gonna go back to my notes and see if I copied it for you all. New share. If I didn't, I'll show it another time anyway. Go back. And let's see. Because they, in the words of my wife, they showing out. she loves to say people showing out. I'm not going to go back to it. I'm going to go back to what I had for us before we go into discussion. All right. The important thing for us, I've already shown how they did us. I've already shown that they set up this Bible for us to make us what they wanted us to be. And in doing this, I want you to see what the Bible says. Since they had the hegemony and they had the authority, they made their own Bible, they made their own rules and regulations. They taught us to do wickedly to each other, really to hate each other. And there was a thing called the bull ring. I couldn't think of it the other night. The bull ring is where they would take, let's say the neighborhood in where you live, they would have all of the people to come out that were slaves, and they would give them a person that had done what they deemed wrong, and they each have some kind of whip or they have a stick. And this person had to go around the bull ring and everybody had to hit him. If they didn't, they would get hit. Taught us to beat each other as well. The Messiah says in Luke 11:52, woe unto you lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge, and you entered not in yourselves, and them that were entering in you hindered. The thrust of that is people that would do right, people that did want to call on me, those that wanted to do, you would not let them have the knowledge. You kept them by taking my words and twisting them, not giving them certain portions of my word, and causing them to do things that were against my word. This is the very same thing that the unholy Bible shows you. The catechism shows you that. But remember, in that book, it said the book of Jeremiah was omitted, so they wouldn't get to read this right here. But I want you to hear it. Jeremiah chapter 23 and 30. Jeremiah says for Yah, therefore, behold, I am against the prophets. I'm not talking about people telling the future. I'm talking about those that take words and say that I said it to control other people. Now, if I said it and they say it to control them, that's me controlling them through their mouth for myself. If they're making their own words or if they're getting it from another source, whether it's demonic or whatever, that's not my word. And you're controlling somebody using my name and my authority in a way that you should not be doing, and Yah hates that. So it says, therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yahweh, that steal my words, every one of them from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, and they use their tongues and say, he saith. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord, and do tell them and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore, they shall be no profit. They shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord. If you can learn, if we can learn what was given legally to the slaves, to control the slaves, and see that we're still teaching, we still got 75% of that mentality in our teaching today. It's going to make us lightweight. It's going to make us the kind of people that Yah hates. We're going to be taught not to obey him. We're going to be taught that as long as you feel you're on top, you're already righteous, you're already saved, you can fornicate, you can adulterate, you can homosexuate, you can do all that. But the only people that can't are the ones you tell not to. And you've taken on the persona of the slave master. Malachi, another book they left out. They call themselves being the church master, right? Then they call themselves the one that would give counsel. So what's fit for you to do? Yeah, they did. Listen to what Yah says that they didn't want the slaves to ever read. Well, the priest's lips should keep knowledge. I'm in Malachi 2 and 7. Malachi 2 and 7, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law or the Torah at his mouth. Torah is the instruction of how to live by Yah. Keep the Torah at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts or armies. But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many of them to stumble at my Torah. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith the Lord. Therefore, I have made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as you have not kept my ways, but you have been partial in the law. Now, a lot of people don't know that people can be cursed and they look blessed, but you haven't read Deuteronomy. It was kept from you, and maybe your church don't want you to read it. And you say only got 3 more sets to read. Jeremiah 14 and 14. Another of the books that were excluded. Then the Lord said to me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. But they prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and things of naught, and deceit in their heart. Therefore, saith the Lord concerning the prophets that prophesied in my name, and I sent them not, yet they say sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. They don't think anything's going to happen to America. They don't think God's going to judge America, but they prophesy in his name. We're very, very close to discussion because during the discussion time, when somebody else speak, I'm going to find that other catechism because that other catechism, it was so powerful. It will show how they use the Bible to say you as a Negro was nothing, absolutely nothing. But anyway, let me read this. Deuteronomy 18:20. The prophet that shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. Who did Martin Luther King say that God was? Did he not say the voice of the property and the merchandise talked? Didn't he say it? Didn't, in other words, the greed of wealth of mammon that's searching for riches, it made them speak this, and that's what they would speak. They would speak those things that would continually line their pockets with profits from tobacco, sugar cane, cotton, indigo, rice, whatever they had the slaves to build. That was the voice of their God, and they took the voice of that God and said, Yahweh said it. Y'all say they're going to die. Well, he said, well, a lot of them lived and they dead now because everybody died from back then. Oh, do you think that that's the death only? The Bible says, to y'all, all men live. Yet the Messiah says, oh, there's a certain time people going to die. Riddle me that, please. In Luke chapter 8, here's the last one. The Messiah talked about the word of God being sown in people's heart and what it would do. But he says there are some people you can give them the right word of God, and we try to give the right word of God here. But let me show you what people that love the slaves Bible and what it stands for do. The Bible says those people that get it, if somebody can twist it out of them, tell me it ain't all that. You don't need God. You don't have to obey God. God don't see color. God don't see that when everybody else did. And these laws were made up because people did. The Bible says those by the wayside or they that hear, then cometh the devil and taketh away the word out of their hearts, lest they should believe and be saved. I know we're saying things that are counterproductive to a lot of people in their world of Christianity, but I'm not interested in their world to govern. I'm interested in my king take his place on the throne of our hearts, and let our hearts be like a Jerusalem, a city of peace. That's what I'm looking for. I would like to get some feedback on what I presented thus far and what kind of thoughts I provoked in you all, please.
No, this is good. I like the way you set it up as sort of I'm gonna call it a preface
Mm-hmm.
to what you were doing, because the other night when we were talking, I said, well, you've already done them, but with the understanding, let's say the filter of how this applies to us and what's happened to us, it makes sense, because and the way you'll explain it does come through that. So I mean, it's incredible. I didn't this rules. I think it was Cotton Mather, but you said something about a George Moore.
Yes, he had took what Cotton Mather said he had recorded, and it seems as if what he was saying is that he had preached that to the slaves.
Okay, so was it the first when you said George Moore? What was the connection there? Because then I thought
he had taken the stuff that Cotton Mather had said, and he was able to go and pretty much reiterate it.
Yeah, well, I think it's really good. I say that a lot, but I mean it's still how I feel. But it definitely knows why we need to know the word of Yah. And then I was just thinking about hiding in our hearts, because they let's say physically, institutionally, systematically has been taken away. And so a lot of the things, you said they had them beating each other, and the fact that we do see that, and if we can understand, love your brother. Because when I would read that, I think at least in one place it's Matthew 13. That's what I'm remembering. So love your neighbor. I mean, by this y'all, know that you're my disciples if you have love one for another. Years ago, I didn't really understand it, but am I talking too fast? So
No, I'm enjoying, because now I'm getting feedback, because these are things that I want to present, and when I do get it to where you can hear me when I do go live on YouTube, they're going to be statements and comments, and I'm going to be wanting you and Andrina to be able to answer some of the questions while I still talk. They call that monitors,
Okay.
don't they, Andrina?
Yeah, when I had read that, like, by this show, no,
Hold on,
I didn't have
say it again,
connection. I knew
Adrena.
that I was probably
She said
not understanding something,
moderators,
but
not monitors. Monitor just watch something. Moderators. I was ignorant of the term. I'm good now. I'm sorry, Gary.
yeah. So in looking at this and understanding better, what we've learned in the Ten Commandments, and then just how it was really supposed to, let's say, be set forth within the examples and showing that people, because the wickedness that was just so prevalent, that it's okay, we don't have it like this. This is true love right here, what these people are doing. And so back to what you're doing. This is good, because it's really was stolen. But we did give it away. We gave it away because I texted Anne and I watched the first video, and she sent that with, I forgot how it's called, but but it was a lot of connection in there. Some I knew, some I was like, okay, I didn't have that information, but it's all good. It's sad, but it's good. It's okay. This is where we are, because there's a huge veil. There is a huge veil. So I've had my slave Bible out so I could try to follow you.
Okay.
As you was like turning different things. At first I didn't have my glasses on, and I wouldn't. So we had it on the big TV, and I couldn't see it. So I put my glasses on so I could see, but I just grabbed the book and was looking. But no, I think it's good. I think it's relevant, and with the numbers that you said, was watching it. It looks like you're making the right decision. So hopefully, you sow and people hear, but there'll still be some who like will listen and be like, well, no, but that'll be on them. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So the thing will be, I guess, to when talking to other people who really feel like they know, and you start to tell them, okay, well, this check this out. I think they really do try to relegate it to, this is not like some of the books that we have, like and I think it even says that book that came from Timbuktu. I can't remember if it's in the book that he says it or in the reviews that I.
It says from Babylon to Timbuktu. Rudolph Windsor.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm mixing Van Sertima and
they came before Columbus, Ivan Van Sertima.
Yeah, I mixed the titles. They're trying to discount those books. But this was good. The facts are there.
Well, Andrina, I got something for you, my precious. The Lord was gracious when Gary got on. Remember, I said I wanted to read this. I would not want you to have anything to say till you hear this, okay? And they got a way that this is not copying like I want to, so I'll probably screen save it, but listen to it. This is a pro-slavery. Yeah, I will. I thought I forgot that I was supposed to. Gary, you're so intelligent. Man, I'm glad to be able to call you my brother. All right. And don't ask me if it's only because I say you're intelligent, because I might say, yeah. All right. I think this is it. All right. Do you see pro-slavery catechism? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. This is in 1847, the prospectus for a national era stated. What happened? What? I went too fast.
First Negro, and they said,
Yeah. Adrena jumped ahead, boy. It says the 1847 prospectus on the new era stated, while due attention will be paid to current event, congressional proceedings, and general politics, literature, and the great aim of the paper will be a complete discussion of the question of slavery and the exhibition of the duties of the citizenship in relationship to it, especially will explain and advocate the leading principles and the measure of the Liberty Party seeking to do this, not in the spirit of party, but in the love of truth, not in the triumph of party, but for the establishment of truth. Pro-slavery catechism, make it bigger. If you start laughing again, I'm knowing what you're doing, Andrina. Who was the first Negro? Chained, that's the answer. How did he become so? The Lord set a black mark upon him. Next one. The southern slave come from him. Look, did the southern slave come from him? Yes. How did they get through the flood? Oh no, they didn't come from him. They came from Ham. How do you know that? Because Ham means black. Upon whom did Noah pronounce a curse? Upon Ham. Does the Bible say so? No. It says Canaan, but it means black. I mean, no, it says Canaan, but it means Ham. I'm sorry. But they said Ham means black. Okay. Does the curse make it right?
They're trying to learn something.
That's it. This is what they could do. They got to give you a slave's Bible. So they already got it fixed. If you hear differently, we set the narrative, we set the framework of how you see the world. And they're going to tell Tim, you going too far. Well, what if somebody else had done it 50, let's say 70 years or 100 years ago, I could just read it and know it. I grew up without knowing this stuff. And if I take you to a place called Christagena, anyway, it says, does the curse make it right that blacks should be enslaved? Yes. Why? Because they should be. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand that white supremacy is not something that you just say when people just say that because they don't like somebody when they're white? No. We're talking about these are the Supremes doing that, okay? They have a court for the Supremes. Andrina, can you read the rest of these? I've read enough of them. You can read. You can't read it, okay. Why? Because
they should be.
Next one.
Don't the Bible say the Christian should be crucified?
Does the I'm gonna have to read it because because it's making you come out in your base. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it. Don't the Bible say that Christ should be crucified? Yes. Well, did that make it right? No. But the cases are not parallel.
What?
Hey, this when you teach. Okay, you want to you want to ferret that out? The Bible that the black should be enslaved. I guess
black too.
I don't know. Like you got to get Christ. That would be the best. That would be the best connection. Look, from what country did the slaves come from? From Africa. Did the descendants of Canaan people Africa? No. But but that makes no difference.
Okay, what is this wrong, because this is absolutely stupid.
This is part of what they do with black people. I don't think this is a catechism. This is a catechism. It's a pro slavery.
So this was meant to catechize white people on the pros of slavery, right? This was, I don't believe this was written for black people to read it.
Okay, I got you.
I believe they were catechizing people and saying, even if you weren't pro-slavery, we want you to be based on this question and answer. We're gonna get you to say the right thing when you meet another white person that say that we shouldn't be doing this.
Got you. I would concede that. And from them, and then you teach your children, your slaves that. But for you, because they had a lot of deals with abolitionists, and you had people that really did know that this was not right, but you had the power of the gun.
Okay, so
very good.
Yeah, this is what they do for one another. This is the only way it could work if I get other white people who may feel a little, I don't know if we ought to be doing this. We need to give you the answers and tell you, we need to teach you.
Remember Dr. King said when I was reading that you had to do something to ease your conscience and what you were doing and make the immoral justified. Okay. See why I need you? So then it says, who were the happiest men that ever lived? This is going to be good. The patriarchs. Why? Because they did not have to work. Now, the other catechism, okay, but listen, this actually authenticates even more what you were saying, that this is for them. But notice this. Who was the first patriarch? Abraham. Why were not Methuselah, Enoch, Noah patriarchs? Because they didn't hold slaves. Yeah, I do remember this because I read you something a while ago and you bust out laughing from how ridiculously wicked it was. Okay, so listen, why were not Methuselah, Enoch, and Noah, why they were not patriarchs? Because they didn't hold slaves. How do you know that Abraham's servants were slaves? Because he whipped. Because he whipped Hagar, but he didn't whip Hagar.
But this makes sense, though. This is why you left out Genesis 9 through 18. This is why you left it out, because Abraham is talked about. Now, you'll do that and you'll say that for the slave, but you're doing this for other white people too.
That don't read.
Because a lot of them were illiterate too.
And then they would say, well, I know the Bible because I meet them. I still meet them today.
Did they lie?
I just asked him. I say, what Bible say so about so and so? I don't know. And then notice this. How do you know that Abraham's servants were slaves? Because he whipped Hagar. Hagar wasn't even his, but anyway, how do you know that? Because she ran away. Okay, listen to this one. How do you know? No, he did. That was Sarah that put that thing on him. How do you know that? Listen, yeah, how? I'm gonna show it to you in a minute. Let me show it to you now. This is from the National Era, July 8, 1847. Home collection. It's got a lot of stuff in here. I'll probably sign up for it to read more, because I guess I could have read it from here. I didn't want to try to read it from the paper. See the paper?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, and then you see it says, remember now, that's a different era, 1847. We're about 24 years away from that, this thing being 200 years old. It says, let's go back to this. How do you know that Abraham's servants were slaves? Because he whipped Hagar. How do you know that? Because she ran away. How do you know it's right to flog slaves? Because God sent Hagar back.
You know, I'm convinced that the only way they were able to do this is through violence. Nothing about this is smart. It ain't even wise. It's not even logical. The only way you did this is through violence.
Well, you know, they definitely built up a lot of states to be buffer zones, or built at least Georgia with criminals. And a lot of the poor people and things like that, they would ship over here, and then you would give them the status above being being a black man. They gave them a sense of pride, but you did not make them the be the people in charge. But the black people work better than the white, because one reason that they work better is because they had to, and the other one is that a lot of the white people learn to hate us because you got black people doing the work free, although they getting whipped, and now you losing a little bit of money you have. That's why, remember I told you they made fun, my book of talk about white trash, they made fun of the Beverly Hillbillies, they made fun of people, and when you watch Green Acres, they made fun of the people driving General Lee on the Dukes of Hazzard. You will see that they'll do that because they don't reach up into status as well, but they always were better than the black. That's why if a black man was smart, they say, you're uppity. Oh, you supposed to be uppity? Oh, you got, where you get those clothes? They certain
Trying to be you showing your nobility, boy, you better not do it.
Yep.
Because they stole you and they sold you
And stripped you.
because of how good you really were. You had the skills. You were the artisans. You were the smiths.
God did that with Yehuda. He did that. A holy Bab, and we're going to read about it. That's left out of the slave Bible, where God himself gave them the skills in metallurgy, building, architecture, and imagine people can teach without being given the gift. Y'all said I gave it to you to teach, and the women, all that they did. So it says, when Abraham took 318 slaves and pursued the kings, why did they not run away as slaves do now? Either because Abraham had his hounds alone, or because God taught them better. Okay. Were the Israelites allowed to hold slaves? Yes. Whom might they hold? The heathen round about. How long? Forever. Whom else might hold them? Listen, their children after them. Slaves being passed down. Who are those children? Southern slaveholders. So let you know what part of the world this paper is for. It says, who are those children? Southern slaveholders. How does that appear? The Jews were cut off and the Gentiles were grafted in their place. But are not the slaves the Gentiles too? Yes, but they're heathen. Who are the heathen whom the Jews might hold? The Canaanites. How does it make it right to hold Negroes then? Oh, because they come from Ham. Have the Negroes been sold as slaves in all ages of the world? Yes. Were the Roman Negroes slaves? Yes. How do you know? Because it's impossible to make anybody else slaves but Negroes. They say a lot, don't it? Although it's not true, but that's their mind.
That's strong hatred, ain't it?
Yep. Did Christ and his apostles approve of Roman slavery? Yes. How do you know? They didn't say anything against it. No, but the Bible does, for it says, a merciful man spareth his beast. Was Paul a good man? Yes, he was a holy saint. What did he do? He sent back a runaway slave. What was his advice and that of the other apostles to the slaves? Abide in their calling, wherein they were obedient to their masters. There was one that I read, and I didn't bring it up, Gary, but this one say about God. It says, man is created in God's image. Then what it says, And God is not a Negro. Therefore, a Negro is not a man. Man is created in God's image, and God is not a Negro. Therefore, the Negro is not a man. Remember, I showed you all in the 1800s when they made everything white. So I just thought I'd just put a little bit of that out, Andrina, before you give your comments. But
Yeah, I know the diabolical.
don't they do the same thing when they get you to sell your property? Don't they do the same thing? They get you to give up something. Don't they give you the same thing when they make you get you to have medical procedures? We give you some of the most ridiculous things to do or to say. And remember, these people, King says, and when Joy DeGroot talk about cognitive dissonance, you got to do something to allay or get rid of the feelings of guilt when you see this child crying. When you throw a child in the water and gators can bite him, when you whipping a man and he's screaming and crying and begging, please, in the name of Jesus, you taught him.
In most of our ancestors that they took and stole, they were children. They were under the age of 20, 30.
Easier to break.
And that way, by the time we do, you break the chains, that you'll either be one so sprinkled with that white pixie dust that you would want to live our lives. You want to be a part of us. You want closeness to whiteness, and therefore you'll easily integrate. Or you'll be so far in sin, so deep in it, that you can't get out. And you, once you find out the truth, you'll never go back to your original purpose. You'll never go back to being who the Most High called you to be, because you're gonna be so engrossed in the world, and I'm so deep in it I can't get out. Oh, I love the butter biscuits, and you know,
explain butter biscuit, because everybody don't know what that means.
Some of the slaves would get butter biscuits because they would do stuff good. You know, they would tell on another slave, you get, you know, and you quell a rebellion, you do something good for the master or his wife or the children, and you can get a hot butter biscuit. Everybody else gets slop. So you learn to love those biscuits, and you start spying on your own people, like you said, self-check, and that's still happening. And we wonder why the cities that are run by our people.
Oh, come on with it.
Why there's such a disarray? Why there's so much crime? Now, I know that the powers that be or should be, they're in control of that. They make sure you don't care about your people.
Mm-hmm.
They make sure you can't get there if you do. You won't get there if you do. It's rarely seen. I don't think I've ever seen it in my lifetime where I've seen a Black politician in any state, city, in the federal government ever just go out of their way to do something for Black people.
Isn't that sad?
And it's got to be by design. It has to be by design. Because everyone else who was not a politician would then stick their necks out. They killed them. They murdered them.
Yes.
So you start learning that I'm going to be so scared of them. And this is how they terrorize us through the media. They terrorized us actually and burned down our cities.
Red Summer really talks about it.
And once it became sort of unfashionable to do that, then you say, well, we'll just put it on TV that we just kick everybody's behind. We the victor in every war. When we fight the Indians, we win. They're the barbarians. Everything we do is right. We the best gunslingers. We shooting up everybody.
We're the first cowboys.
And that's to make you remember. It's like the Assyrians would do, and they would put those skulls outside of their gates. They would make gates out of the skulls. So when you come up, or they'll impale people and leave them there. So when you come up, you'll just be afraid. That's what they've done through the television. And then on the other side of that, we're going to be the ones in the black hat and the white hat. We're going to be the saviors. We're going to be the best fathers. We just going to be the best husbands. We take care of our children. We work hard. And it's all a lie.
Leave it to Beaver. Father knows best.
Everywhere at all times. We the Egyptians. We the Persians.
The Indians.
We the Indians. What's left for them to be the slaves, isn't it?
Yeah, and now the men and now the men gonna be the woman of the year. Right? What
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner, a white man, the woman of the year?
The best men, the best women. We'll be the best children.
Well, they kept the slaves black, y'all. They kept the slaves black.
Ooh.
This is but this we have to revisit this. It's been a little over 50 years. We better, that's another generation. We better.
1847 in this, 50 years from the time, a little over 50 years from the circular number 3591.
Better. We better, because I see where it's going. They want to erase it, period.
Yes.
They want to erase us as a people, period. And it's amazing to me how these quote unquote intelligent people, these educated people, can go out and talk about the United States hegemony in other nations and how they threaten other nations and how they bully them and how they bomb them and do certain things to them. But when we say they doing it to us,
Yes.
that's impossible. Not you, but the other people, they doing it to look like us.
Yes.
But no, it's this going too far.
Do you know if they dropped a bomb on Ukraine, because they supposed to be helping Ukraine, right? Did they drop a bomb on Russia? But those dark-skinned people over there, what they would call Baghdad, and Trump dropped the they call it Moab, use the Bible name. They know what they're doing.
Like, so you can see that them doing this everywhere, ruining people's economy. I'm talking about a whole entire nation. Venezuela, other nations in the Sudan. You know they doing this other places where we say, hey, we've been telling y'all all along. They do it to us. But you think because we here with you, it's not happening, because you can't feel it. You don't want to.
Right.
So you have your proponents, and that's what we have Fox News for, and that's what we got CNN. And now they gonna go ahead and come together and just be one bird now for real.
They won't need them after a while. They'll use that artificial information.
Yes.
They call it intelligence.
Now they speaking the same thing.
Yeah, but you won't need a person to read. You have the thing sitting there, and it'll say, and breaking news today, and so on. So they won't need those. So those people can lose their job, and then you may have a little child doing it for the children. But
It's clear that they have a history of stealing our labor. We couldn't even capitalize on our own labor. And still they do it now, because we won't hire you. We just won't hire you. They started it with the trade unions because the black men and women had the skills. And no, we're not going to, we're going to start a union, and guess what? You can't have a job in this place if you're not a part of this union. And guess what? You can't be, because what? You're black.
Yep.
You're a Negro.
And then when you could get hired sometime, guess what would happen? They would go and the Irish would fight against you. The second wave of the Irish would fight against you. This is what came up in my mind. It's like, because it seemed like that was a real thing that had to be done. Because when you're talking about a message that I gave and just say, what was revealed in the book of Micah? That they wanted us to stay away from us in the slave Bible. And I said over 4,000 people.
I was listening to What's his name? His face is my head. The one that's wow. What's his name? The priest.
Dr. Maury?
Dr. Maury. Robert Maury.
Yeah, he talked like that when he was brilliant, wasn't he?
So he was talking about because sometimes I listen, you know, to them folk to see exactly what are you teaching your people.
Right.
I can tell by what you're saying, you're not talking to Black people, you're talking to your people, you're talking to Christians. And Christians, you're losing your cities because of white flight. You're moving to the suburbs, and now you want to go to the country. And he said, and historically, this is how we lost Christianity in so many other nations. And it happened with the Irish. The Irish left, say the Irish had to leave because they only had potatoes. That's all they knew how to grow.
Okay.
And then there was a great potato famine, and then they rushed here.
Okay.
And he said, and when you start thinking about in terms of technology and meaning modes of transportation change, you know, and used to be you had to ride horseback, and then people found out let's get on a boat, and you know, camels and boats, and you got a boat now. Now we can dump people off in places. He said they did that with Ellis Island. He said many times the white people came. He was talking to the white people about white people. You know your descendants. I mean, you know your ancestors. How they got here. And say because they didn't have any skills. And say and you could get here and now you get so engrossed in the American dream that you stop being Christians.
So is that on one of my CDs or MP3s? All right, send me the link. I need, because I always love to hear them get an attestation, the stuff that we know.
It's saying his point is this: is that you losing your Christian values.
Yeah, but he told the truth on the lack of skills.
Yes, he told that. He said, and y'all treated the Black people like they were nothing because they had all the skills, and so you created trade unions so they couldn't work.
Well, he went in, didn't he? As smart as he was, he wasn't doing it by accident.
It really gives you a point of view that, you know, okay, his main thing was about Christianity.
Right.
He talked about the movement of people, why they moved with the advent of technology, from being an agrarian nation to an industry, you know, it's things like that, and how you actually lose your morals.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn certain ways, and you learn not to read the Bible. You learn that it's really not important, and that you need to find out your thing is, well, I gotta survive.
Yes.
So that means taking advantage of other people. That means not following the 10 Commandments. And you let it go. And so this is where we are now. So yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because I need to go back over that. I pulled up something.
I explained it well.
You did it.
Okay.
You're a good storyteller.
Okay.
Actually, you're so good. If you tell me about a movie, most of the time I don't want to watch it. Or when I watch it, okay, she said this is gonna happen. Yep. She said that's gonna happen. Yep. And it's like, you told me the whole movie, and because the movie is a story. So to tell a story is a lot quicker than a movie. A movie got to act it out. So I want you to see something when you're talking about what they did to us. This comes from a book called The Black Tax by Sean Rochester. He talked about what they did. He said the devastation was so complete that in 1870, newly freed Black people owned less of 1% of the U.S. land after 147 years. African Americans still own
less than 1% of U.S. land.
And what he's saying is that the tragic, heartbreaking as the system was, its primary purpose and effect was to impose 100% tax on Black labor. By 1910, 93% of Americans that lived in the South, and the overwhelming majority of them, overwhelming majority of them worked as day laborers. In 1930, There was 1.2 million black tenants in that day. That's another form of slavery. And on Southern farms, they were paid an average income of $71 per year, which was $26 less than white tenants of day laborers. The difference in the compensation cost black tenants and day laborers 31 million each year, or 157 million over 5 years, which is the equivalent of 420 million per year, or 2.1 billion in a 5-year period. Now here's a man that he's an economist. And not only, and he was generous, because he didn't say out of that they would take money from you and say you broke a shovel, you broke a hole. So when you said that, not only was this country set up like that, because you could say, for a matter of fact, when you were a slave, they were doing the same thing. You had to eat, although it was a scruff off the ground. You still had to have, they said they gave you 1 pair of shoes a year, but you've earned that. If a man earned me $100,000 a year and I only want to give him $5,000, let's just say $100 a week, where he gonna live? What he gonna eat? Let me stop sharing that screen. So this is because somebody may say, why are you talking about that? I say, go back to my series on what happened, why. And you'll look at Christianity differently, and you'll become like what I did over 20 years ago. I said, I'm just gonna do the Bible. Because the same ones that set the rules up for that Christianity are the same ones that tell you don't pay attention. They're the same ones tell you don't think about yourself, don't think about anybody being black, being a Hebrew or Israelite. All of the Shemitic people lived over there. There are so many groups of Shemitic people that they left them out in the slave Bible. I'm going to show them to you. I'm going to show you to Abraham had 6 children by one woman. He had one by another woman and one by another. That's 8. Look, Abraham's descendants was so many, they were called dukes, the one that came from Edom. And it's just, I think it's beautiful for us to be able to discuss this. Is there anyone else on the conference line? Do you all feel I neglected you all because I only gave you a few scriptures, but I felt that the scriptures allow us to see? They call people Pharisees when they want to tell you what's right. I consider people that had God's word and that they use you to their advantage, because Jesus said, you go and you devour widows' houses, you do things to the poor, and then Isaiah talking about what you do to the orphans. I consider you to be like a modern day Pharisee, because you go ahead.
When you said that about that oath, he was making them do an oath to black people about church. Well,
Yes, he didn't call it an oath, but that's what it was. It's an oath. That was a word that was said to know that this is what our people went through to try to fit in.
I said, you know, I know you've heard it been said, if you swear an oath, you better keep it, or I don't know how it's.
Yeah, it is.
And I say, don't do it at all.
Right.
Not by heaven, not by the earth, not by your own head. Not at all. Just let your yay be yay and your no be no. Anything other than that is evil.
And you see it, can't you?
And it's like, wow.
I control where you live. I control what you eat. I control whether you're going to have lashes on your back today. I control whether your wife get to stay with you, whether your child be gone. I can determine what time you're going to work and how long. I get to sit back and relax and tell you that working is good and you should love work. And at the same time, when I'm controlling all this and I'm telling people that you love me, because I don't want them to think that I'm beating you, but I am. And then, look, I'm going to determine whether you get to make it into heaven or not. Because I can put you out of the assembly. I can make you. That's what some men do and they say in the entertainment business. They'll make a man kiss them. They'll make a man do any kind of thing for money. That's the same thing they do to women. They talk about that man, what was it, Epstein or Weinstein? Well, guess what? When you're the slave master and you get to exercise your power, you don't have to give money. You can just the threat of not, the promise of not getting beaten. And so you definitely catechize them in every way you can. Every way you can. You got them singing, "This land is your land, this land is my land," and it wasn't. Well, I appreciate you all allowing me the opportunity to, in class, go through some of these things, because it's going to be a lot when we go through these books. There's going to be a lot of juice in it. But in this, what Gary called it, what did he call it? A preface or something like that, introductory. But that don't mean I won't do something outside of it. That's my focus for now. Why? What is it that we're supposed to learn? Huh?
They don't want it.
No.
Tell them.
Yes.
Don't tell the truth. Never.
May the most precious God of the universe, who loves us, gave himself for us, bless us and keep us, make his glorious face shine upon us, and give us shalom, shalom, peace, peace, peace. And however he want to make the peace, let us be willing to go there with him. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you all for joining.